Welcome, I'm Dr. Olsen, and I am going to be performing a tutorial on how to use the library resource pages to obtain scholarly research for your field project assignments. So bear with me here while I get to the University of Houston and then to our Blackboard page. Now your Blackboard page, once it's finished, for spring semester is going to look a little bit different than this one does, but the library resource page is going to be the same. I put it at the top of the page just for my ease today while I'm doing this, but you may have to scroll down to find it. Okay, so here we are at the library resource page, and you see the projects down the left-hand side, and I'm going to do a brief tutorial for each one of those because the search terms that you use or the keyword search terms that you use are going to be specific to what project you're going to do, and then within that you have some choices of the direction of research that you want to go. You don't have to necessarily pick the terms that I use, but just to show you as an example, you might want to go more narrow or you might want to go broader on your topic. For example, the first project is comparing the same day of the copy of the New York Times and sorry, as I'm getting used to this computer, copy of the New York Times and the Houston Chronicle. And you're comparing the same day. Really, the basis for the assignment is to see how the same news might be covered differently or how they might choose to use different news, primarily on their first pages, and then also the op-ed or the editorial pages in both the Chronicle and the New York Times, and then also take a look at their advertising and other pieces in the rubric that you can see above there. So to find scholarly research, a general definition is it has to be either a book, and our textbook doesn't count, and or peer-reviewed journals. And the key to getting to a peer-reviewed journal is to use one of these embedded links to indices at the UH library. Just finding something on an electronic database does not guarantee it's going to be scholarly, and you'll see that I have that as text back on the folder piece for the library resource page. So the first one is newspapers, so I'm going to do a search for local news, because we're comparing the Houston Chronicle as one of the items. So I'm going to do local news, and even these autofill topics might help you with some of these. You could certainly pick local news reporting, newspaper and TV reliance, perhaps for number 1 or project 2. So I'm going to do local news consumption. And here's the key. The key is to go down here and click on scholarly peer-reviewed journals, and that limits your search to just those items, and it kicks out magazines, internet websites, like just sort of columns people put up, or newspapers. So I'm just going to do a search for that, and you'll get several pages. Some of them you can see are not in English, which may not work for the purpose of this assignment, and not all of them are going to be ideal. I'm going to scroll down here. You might want to use this media exposure and sensitivity to violence in news reports. That would be about crime news, and you'll probably see some of that in the day that you pick. So that's an option. Here's one for effects on public opinions. This is kind of an agenda setting sort of thing. And then you can also click on the full text. You can download it, you can save it, you can print it. There's all sorts of things that you can do once you get to that point. So I'm going to back up then. That concludes the Project 1 example. So here I'm back at the Start homepage for the library resources. I'm going to click on Project 2. and you're comparing the same day news coverage again with the day of the Houston Chronicle with the evening before local news's 10 p.m. Newscast. So you're looking at, say you pick a Tuesday for your newscast, then you would need to get the newspaper for Wednesday. And you can use online, or you can get hard copies in libraries, or even in our main office, they'll have a hard copy of the newspaper. So in addition to these sorts of things that you're looking for in the rubric, you're also going to need some scholarly research. And here's a listing of the local stations that do newscasts at 10, Channel 39. Does one at 9, I believe, as does Fox. So I'm going to pick this same communication and mass media complete indice. And so I need to put in some keywords here. Again, your keywords can relate to local newspaper coverage, or local TV news coverage, or local TV advertising, or local TV news sources, or journalism, or whatever keywords you want to play around with. So I'm going to search for local television news. And then the key is to click on scholarly journals to limit it just to that. And there's a lot of health reporting in it, and you might find some of that, particularly in the newscast. I would bet they're going to have some items about health news because it's one of the most sought after pieces of news in local news. So you can pick any of these that are going to fit well with the analysis you're going to be providing. Local reporting practices of local news health journalists. They all have a health journalist or two. Something about the quality of the journalism, what are Americans seeing, the frames. So you can click on the full text of one of these that you select, and then you can download it, you can print it, you can save it, all kinds of things like that. So again, you're going to aim for about 3 of these sources if you can. As it says in the syllabus, 1 is too few, and 10 are probably too many for the level of assignment this is. So here I am back out at our start page. Now I'm going to project 3, which is magazines. And you're analyzing 3 issues of the same magazine, and this may be online only, but you're looking for the sorts of things that are in the rubric here. And I'm going to start with communication and mass media complete. Now, some of this is going to be driven by the type of magazine you select. For example, if you pick Cosmo, you're going to find some research specifically on Cosmopolitan magazine, or you might want to go broader with topics, like you might choose Self, which I read yesterday is going completely online. Or you might go with a news magazine. Someone last semester did Boys Life. Those are the sorts of options that you have. So my search topic, I'm going to put in magazines. And here again are some autofill things. There's a lot of things on body image. And then be sure to click filter for scholarly peer-reviewed journals only, so it limits it to that. And then you'll have a series of articles that deal with magazines and body image. So you have quite a few of them with various magazines. And you can even go more general, like teen fashion magazines, which there are several. There are several health-related. You might find something on Ebony or Essence or Latina. So there are lots of options. Here's African American Women's Magazine. So lots of options if you pick a magazine that has an audience of primarily females and also male body image. You'll find some research on that too. So I'm going to back up again to Project 4. And Project 4 is watching 3 episodes of the same program. And you'll see the rubric there. The types of programming I direct people to is primarily sitcoms, or you can also look at reality shows or sports. There's a lot of research on those sorts of topics and the advertising within it. So make sure you go through some of these rubrics so you can pick one that you can find research for. Dramas are a little bit harder, but not necessarily impossible. A lot of people, back when I was grading these papers, when the class was smaller, picked Everybody Loves Raymond. And now I suspect people are picking Big Bang Theory as an example of sitcoms, and there's a lot of academic research on that. So I'm going to click on that communication index that's embedded, and I'm going to just go real broad and general on this, and I'm going to search for situation comedies. And I'm going to click and filter for peer-reviewed journals only. And some of them are from international. Some of them are about feminism. Some of them don't necessarily relate that well for whatever you might want to pick. There's some that go over time, like this one from Beaver to Anne Romano, which is One Day at a Time from the 70s. And the Leave It to Beaver sample paper that a student wrote is also uploaded for you to take a look at that as an example. Here's maintaining romantic relationships. There are several on the portrayals of gays and lesbians in network television. And again, you can click on the full text. And again, you can save it, download it, whatever you might want to do with it. So then let me move on to Project 5. Which is the analysis of 3 contiguous hours or continuous hours of the same channel. And what you're looking for here, really, apart from the rubric, is you're looking for if the programming changes, how that changes the advertising or what their target audience is. You're kind of backing into it in a way of determining the target audience by the commercials. So I'm going to go to Communication and Mass Media Complete. I'm going to put in television during prime time. And you saw other topics autofill there. I'm going to click for scholarly peer-reviewed. And there's violence during prime time, more violence. On-air promotions, a lot of their commercial break time is filled with promotional commercials for other things on that same network, interpersonal arguments, portrayal of women in prime time. You can get the PDF again and save it, print it, or what have you on that. So that concludes that, I guess, demonstration of how to find scholarly resources for your field projects. And if you find something and aren't sure, make sure that you ask me about it, and I'm happy to take a look and tell you what it is. Thanks for your attention.